Hello people of bike world. I can recommend the new Suzuki Hayabusa. It will turn you into a massive child. That's why I'm eating sweeties. These bikes are supposed to be for grown-ups. They're supposed to be a comfortable touring sports bike for the more mature gentleman, but that's nonsense. This thing will wheelie clean into triple digits, do burnouts, power slides, and turn you into a complete and utter idiot. And I love it. So this is the new Suzuki Hayabusa. It's been back after a little bit of a sabbatical and it's changed for the better. Hayabusas and hyperbikes used to be about 200-mile-an-hour speeds and being the most mentally fast things in a straight line on the road. Suzuki themselves have admitted that those days are done. 1000cc superbikes have pushed the performance envelope to a limit that big comfy bikes just cannot attain. So the new Hayabusa is meant to be a ridiculously fast way of riding a sports bike a big distance. A couple of the key figures then. 190 horsepower, 264 kilograms. That does sound like it weighs as much as a tank, and I won't lie, I was nervous of that coming to the launch, thinking it was going to feel like a big, heavy, slow old piggy. It doesn't. Don't think of this like a sports bike. This is a brutally fast motorcycle in a smooth and calm way. In a way that means the weight doesn't matter. In a way that means the huge wheelbase doesn't matter. It's all about smooth flowing progress. Now, being the latest iteration of the Hayabusa, thankfully it comes with all of the electronic rider aids that are, these days, kind of expected of any high-end motorcycle. This one has traction control, ABS, engine brake control, quick shifter, launch control, thingy. It's got everything. It's got cruise control, anything you can think of. What does that actually translate to when you're riding the damn thing? If anyone out there is a car person, this is a two-wheeled BMW M5. It is very fast, but not in that raw, angry sports bike way. It doesn't smack you in the back with acceleration. It just sort of whisks you up to, frankly, ridiculous speeds in a heartbeat. We split the riding today on the launch into two halves. First half was a proper road ride, exactly what this bike is designed for. Fast flowing A roads, bit of bombing down dual carriageways, a few little bumpy B roads, but making big progress across country. The second half of the day was being idiots on an aerodrome. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, the thing that absolutely grabbed me with the Hayabusa on the road is it's meant to be a road sports bike. I've talked loads recently about sports tourers and whether they're more sports, more tourer, where the perfect balance is, and without riding it for yourself, you can never make that decision. The Hayabusa is definitely on the sporty end of the sport tourer spectrum. Look at the riding position. It's a proper forward, leant down, crouched behind the screen bike. On the road, that translated into a sports bike ride, but we covered ground so effortlessly. If you ride this thing like a GSXR 1000 or 600, zinging up and down the gears, revving the nuts off of it, braking hard into corners, pitching it on its side, it kind of looks at you like you're an idiot. It does start to get a bit of movement and it just sort of, yeah, it just seems irritated when you ride it like that. Stick it in third, fourth or fifth gear and just ride that wave of torque and just vroom between the corners, and you make progress at phenomenal pace, but in a smooth and flowing, enjoyable way. It really is a different way of attacking a road to what you might be used to if you're a sports bike guy. I was out for 130-ish miles, good few hours. I won't lie, by the end of it, you know, a few aches in the knees, in the feet, in the wrists, but we did a lot of riding in that time on a lot of different roads and not just flat out. There was a fair bit of cruising along at constant speed, which is where the aches set in. So it's not an out-and-out touring bike. But where it plays its party piece is when we came to the aerodrome this afternoon. Because for all its comfort, long distance, enjoyable sports bike style, it's still a damn Hayabusa. What it really wants to do is ballistically fly towards the horizon with you tucked in behind the screen, laughing at the numbers climbing on the dash in front of you. And for that, it's still got the Hayabusa soul. We were doing 140 mile an hour wheelies, we were doing ridiculous launches. I managed to get just past 180 mile an hour on the speedo in a runway that's barely a mile long. This thing is a ridiculously fast motorcycle in a calm and sophisticated way. Who is the new Hayabusa for? Is it for the sports bike guy? Probably not. Is it for Mr. Adventure Rider who likes to cover millions of miles in a day? Probably not. I think it's for people who have done the sports bike thing for years and don't want to give up on sports bikes. They're not ready for an adventure tourer yet, but they're done with the millions of revs and angry bikes. In that world, it's awesome. It's comfy, smooth, phenomenally fast. The last thing I'm going to say is this. If you buy a Hayabusa, you will require some self-control. This is a bike that makes 110 mile an hour feel like 50 mile an hour, which if you're flying down an autobahn in Germany is awesome. If you're on a 50 mile an hour average speed camera road, it's not so awesome. You can't be a lunatic and ride this immaturely. You've got to respect the horsepower and the speed it's got, because you'll lose your license in a heartbeat. But you know what? That's kind of the bit that makes me love it. It's a bit of a grown-up naughty bike. It looks like a sensible thing, but deep down, it's still for idiots, and it still will turn you into a massive child.